If you're into your period drama, you love your history documentaries, I've got a date for you. There's a new docu-series coming to our screens exploring the life of a woman who was Queen of England from 1533 to 1536. Now, this is a monarch who was also the second wife of King Henry VIII.
The Boleyns are one of the great stories in British history.
Anne Boleyn had gone from a nobody to being crowned Queen of England. There is so much to learn about the games of power.
If you want to climb to that centre, you have to climb over other bodies.
Let them grumble. This is how it will be.
Her becoming queen might be a silver noose around the family's neck.
The Boleyns, a Scandalous Family on BBC Two and iPlayer.
So the Boleyns, a Scandalous Family, gets underway next Friday on BBC Two. Let's learn a bit more about Anne Boleyn's life from someone who was involved in the show. That's Owen Emmerson. Owen is actually the official historian of Hever Castle, Anne Boleyn's childhood home. Good morning to you.
Hello there, lovely to talk to you.
Now, I'm told, Owen, actually, your passion for this story started just when you were 3 years old. Is that right?
Yeah, just about. My mother showed me the glorious film Anne of a Thousand Days when I was just about 4, and it was her childhood favourite film, and it became mine. And yeah, it was around that age that I first visited this wonderful castle, the Boleyns' home of Hever Castle. So yes, it's been a long and enduring love affair.
So Anne was educated in Europe before coming to Hever Castle. Tell me about that return and why where you are is so significant.
Yeah, absolutely. So she had an incredible education. Her father, Thomas, afforded her as good an education as he did his son, George Boleyn. He was able to get amazing opportunities for both of his daughters at European courts, where they sort of soaked up the Renaissance spirit. And she returned to Hever in the early 1520s and was really given a place at Henry's court because of her father's connections. And Hever really comes into its own when Henry VIII turned his eye towards Anne Boleyn. It sort of acted as Anne's safety valve. Obviously, the relationship that she had with the king, being already married, was rather scandalous. And she would often return and retreat to Hever to sort of escape the heat of scandal at court. And Henry VIII bombarded her with amazing love letters, which survive today. And so, yes, this was really Anne's safe haven. And it's almost certain that Henry VIII would have come and visited Anne here in the relative privacy of Kent as well.
I like the delicate way you've put that this morning, Owen. Thank you very much. Just try and describe the castle for us.
It's quite the most remarkable survival. Everything is here, and it really is quite a dinky little property, actually. It wasn't the most prestigious property in the Boleyns' portfolio. They had a number of really amazing properties, but it does appear to have been one of their favourites. It's very advantageous. It's half a day's ride away from Henry's favoured court at Greenwich and half a day's ride to the coast where Thomas Boleyn does most of his diplomatic missions for the king. And I mean, what survives today is quite remarkable. You are quite literally walking in the Boleyns' footsteps. It's quite a privilege to work here. And we also have the most remarkable artefacts relating to the Boleyns, 2 of Anne's own books of hours, which she has both signed and inscribed. And also we have the most remarkable collection of contemporary Tudor portraiture here. It's been stated on a number of occasions that we have one of the best Tudor portrait collections outside of the National Portrait Gallery. So it really is a real pleasure and privilege to work here in the Boleyns' old home.
Lots of history where you are, but of course some of this story being shared in the new series which is coming to BBC Two. And you know, the tag is the Boleyns, a Scandalous Family. She is probably the most famous of Henry VIII's wives. If we could just tap into any aspect of the story, whether it is, almost that breakup of the stronghold of the Catholic Church on the UK, or the fact that she was accused of adultery and plotting to kill, what aspect do you think stands Anne out from everybody else?
I think it's her acumen, her ability to soak up information. She obviously loved learning. And she was a really keen political player as well. Often we see the Boleyn story told in a very two-dimensional way, with Thomas Boleyn essentially pimping his daughters out to better the family's status. It's much more complicated than that. And actually, Thomas Boleyn was rather against the proposed marriage between Anne and Henry. This was sort of uncharted territory, and he must have been quite fearful for her survival, and that fear would prove to be fairly astute. I think, actually, the most sort of important part of the Boleyn story is not that they're ambitious, which they were, and that didn't really single them out as being unique in that respect. That sort of the heartbeat of the Tudor court was this drive to better oneself. What made them so unique is that Anne is running the show. She is the puppeteer. She is the one giving Henry VIII all of the information that he needs via heretical texts to break with the Church of Rome. This is Anne's doing. This is a really powerful woman who is sort of charting her own destiny. She's the one that's laying down the terms with the king. She won't be his official mistress. She wants to be queen. So I think that's what makes her story so remarkable. And when we take away those tired old tropes of Anne being manipulated by her male family members, which the historian Laura Mackay and Claire Ridgway have done so successfully, we actually liberate Anne, and we're actually able to see her own interventions and her own power. And that's what this documentary does so well. This isn't the same old story of the Boleyns that we're used to seeing. This really is drawing upon primary source material and telling a much more exciting story, I think, than the story that we used to being told.
So the Boleyns, a Scandalous Family, gets underway next Friday on BBC Two. I see in the meantime, actually, you've managed to write a book.
Yes, I have indeed. Yeah, it came out on the 1st of August. It's called The Boleyns of Hever Castle. I co-wrote it with the extraordinary historian Claire Ridgway. And it really is reconstructing the castle as it would have been when the Boleyns lived here for 77 years, and telling their story from the perspective of Hever Castle. So, yes, it's been an absolute joy to write, and I'm so pleased to see it doing well.
Owen, it's been great to speak to you. Owen Emmerson with us this morning on BBC Radio Berkshire. Catch him as part of that documentary. And I don't know about you, but I could continue to explore Anne's story even more. We didn't get to time to talk about why it was specifically that Henry decided it was Anne that would cause him to think, right, I need to break up the stronghold of the Catholic Church and find a way to remarry. I'd be really interested to know, what was it about Anne that made him do that? And also to end her life fairly quickly afterwards to marry somebody else. Might get back into that another time.